Welcome to the first Malaysian chess channel online tournament. Thank you very much to everyone who has signed up for this event. Your support is very much appreciated. Kepada kawan-kawan saya yang beragama Islam, selamat pagi dan selamat berpuasa. The prize pool for this tournament is 440 ringgit, which will be paid out according to the previously published prize list. So Lichess will take 72 hours upon the completion of this event to conduct anti-cheating checks. So a final prize list will be published on Tuesday morning. Now it goes without saying that accounts flagged by Lichess or otherwise closed will not be eligible to receive prizes. Now this is not like an accusation of cheating, but it's just unfortunately a necessary measure that we have to take. But I'm sure you guys are not cheaters, so this shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so for the prizes, if you are winning a prize, but there are some issues with the prize list, then please let me know by Tuesday evening at the latest. So the prize list will come out on Tuesday afternoon, and please let me know immediately if you're eligible for some sort of category prize, but somehow it's not there, because on Wednesday morning I will be paying out the prizes, after which, really, if you tell me, then there's nothing much I can do because prize is already paid. So please let me know immediately. Alright, so going on to the tournament details. The time control for this tournament is 5 minutes plus 3 seconds, and it's an 8-round Swiss. Now the pairings will be done automatically on Lichess. I have no control over the pairings. This is just a Lichess Swiss using their own Swiss manager. So please don't complain to me if you don't like your pairings, because I literally can't do anything. Okay. One more thing, there are 20 seconds in between each round. I know it's not very much, but I guess that should be enough to, go to the toilet or whatever you need to do during that time. There's no break in between. Maybe we might do that next time if there is a request for that. But for now, we're not going to have a break. So we're just going to play all 8 rounds straight through. So that's pretty much all the tournament details that I think are important. And by the way, registration is now closed. I am going to close the Google form shortly. So I'm accepting final registrations, because some of you did mention that it was a bit hard for you to get payment and sometimes you couldn't access the link. So I've extended it a little bit, but now it's officially closed. So thank you very much again to all of you, each and every one of you who have supported this initiative. This is my first organized tournament, my first experience as an organizer, and it's been a real blast. And the reason why has been you, your participants. So thank you very much to each and every one of you for joining this and for supporting my initiative. So if you guys have any questions, I think this would be a great time to ask now in the chat. I will be monitoring the chat before the start of the event, and if there are any interesting questions, I will come back on stream to address it. So I will be commentating this event live. There will be about a 20-second delay, so that's why it might take me some time to answer your questions. I've decided to implement a delay because I will be commentating on some of the moves, so hopefully that should be okay. And in a blitz game, I don't think there will be serious stream sniping. Not to mention there are better ways to cheat than to listen to me, some random FIDE master. So I don't think that should be an issue. Once again, if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. Thank you very much for supporting this event, and I'll see you at 10 a.m. Alright, I'll answer a few questions now. Somebody asked, can I exit the stream after the briefing? Yeah, of course you can. You are welcome to join or exit the stream at any time. It is just my commentary after all. Yeah. So, how long is the tournament? I expect that it will be done at the latest by 1 p.m. But I'd say probably we're talking 12:30. But I'll say 1 p.m. is a conservative estimate. Alright, if you guys have any other questions, just type it in the chat and I'll be back on stream to answer it. Alright, there's a question that asks, do we need camera for this tournament? Now, this is something that I thought about quite a bit when organizing this event. But at the end, I decided that it was not feasible to have like 80 players in, in a Zoom call. So I decided, let's not do that. And I'm confident that you guys are here to enjoy the game and you guys are here to play fair. And please, please make my suspicions confirmed. Now, yeah, hopefully we have all honest players here. And if not, I'm confident in the Lee chess detection software. Pukul berapa habis? Saya rasa pukul 1 dah habis. Kalau buat conservative estimate, saya cakap pukul 1 mesti habis. Tapi probably 12:30 I think. Yeah, again, if there are any other questions, please type it in the chat. I'll be back on stream at 10 a.m. otherwise. Alright, so I've noticed that not all of you have joined the tournament. I've put the link in the WhatsApp group chat. Please join right now. We are starting in less than a minute. Okay. So this is the display for the tournament. Our top seed is One Azmi. We joined actually at the last minute, so thanks for the, thanks for the support. And we've got famous FIDE Master Nelson as our second seed. So I guess it will be a really big fight. And we have some very strong young players as well, like Yi Haolong, Ritesh, and Hariharan, I believe is the third seed. So should be interesting. All right, let's go. So we're gonna start with the One Azmi game. Let's see, d4. One Azmi always plays this knight f6, e6, d5. Very solid player. Loves his Queen's Indian setups. And yeah, this is no exception. c5, of course. Guess he's a d5 guy. Queen b6. Guess I'm wrong. Queen b3. Knight e2 is a strange way to develop. Usually they play knight f3. I don't understand knight e2. Okay, and now black's plan is very obvious. In these type positions, really the plan is always very obvious. And I'm not exactly sure what white is doing. It's going sort of back and forth. Bishop d7. Fair enough. Okay, it's going for the bishop. That's fair enough. I would probably have gone bishop e5 if I was white, but okay, now black has started advancing his queen side. This is very, very typical. Bishop d6. This just looks like such a comfortable position for black. Yeah, because he's got pretty much all the play. But we'll see, it is blitz after all, so in blitz anything can happen. a3 is trying to stop b4, but not sure whether it really does. That goes king e7, hitting the knight. Yeah, that is the problem. Because there's still this pin on the a file, so yeah, if white takes cb, unfortunately, he's not going to win a pawn. And now, yeah, white structure is destroyed. That's an unfortunate blunder. And I think we can chalk this up as a pretty easy win for black. So let me just go back and see if there are any more interesting games. Okay, there are some results already, so let's see. Nelson's game looks more interesting. Alright, that's g4. Wow, I don't know what's going on here. e4, e5, d4, knight c6 was apparently played, so yeah, pretty interesting. Sorry, just give me a moment. I have some inquiries. So yeah, I've just realized black is down quite a lot of material. So it better get something going quickly, otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, I think white's going to win. king f2. It's a logical consolidating move. At some point, probably white's going to bring his bishop out as well. We'll see. That being said, in blitz, it's still never easy. And I like what black is doing, trying to create some sort of counterplay. That being said, I'm not sure how to follow up here. I mean, black could give a check, but then I guess white plays like can block with the bishop, I guess. Maybe might have to go for that, because going back seems a bit passive. E5. What? Oh, he wants to take on C2. That's an interesting idea, actually. I'm not sure it's enough, though. That being said, I'm not sure about that move either. Ah, maybe queen e4, he wants some queen e3 and trade the queens. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. And otherwise, I don't see how to defend that knight. So, maybe he's consolidating after all. Nelson is very experienced, of course, in these type of positions. And I really think black's attack is sort of fizzling out at this point. Yeah, and now this endgame, I guess, should be a pretty easy win for Nelson. So let's check if there are any other interesting games. Well, most players have already won. Let's go to board 3, actually. Where, okay, it's a really close position. Obviously, this is a race between some sort of attack on the king side against some sort of queen side play. That being said, I'm not sure why that's attacked in the best possible way, because black's position is very solid, and really with this bishop on g7, it's going to be very hard to make progress. But we'll see. Black's attack on the queen side isn't exactly getting anywhere anytime soon, so certainly a lot of play left in this position. So knight f5 is an interesting idea. So he will take back with the e-pawn, of course. That is his idea. So if knight f5, e5 would gain a tempo on the bishop. And after bishop f3, I guess black will try to push his queen side in that case. So queen e1 is played. Yep, d4 makes a lot of sense. On a good day, it'd be nice to use this long diagonal. Also ideas to push on the queen side and open some lines there. Going back to the Nelson game, Nelson is just crushing, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Yeah. Trying to find some really interesting games. A lot of players are just crushing, which is not surprising. This is a round 1 game after all. Wow, some players just giving checkmate. This looks like a interesting Italian. Is black in trouble here? Just as I say that knight takes h3. Knight takes c4, queen f2, so that's not possible. Maybe what we need to do is to, I don't know, chase his rook somehow. That would be my impression. But then again, we're still not threatening that pawn, so that's the thing. We're not threatening to take on c4. That's the issue. Yeah, actually not an easy position to play from either side. Guess that's a logical move. This could be a very interesting moment for black, actually. Maybe we'll come back to this. Obviously, I don't want to give any hints or influence the play. That's never my intention. So HG, FG has happened in this game. Somehow I'm liking black's position already. Feels like white hasn't really got his play in. Black's consolidating and he can consider playing on the queen side at some point. Just pushing the pawns there. That being said, it's still quite playable. It's still very complicated and in anyone's game. But also the fact that white's down on the clock, it's not a good sign. But okay, it's 3 seconds increment. Anything can happen. And Nelson has given mate, so that game is over. Yep, that's exactly what I thought black could have done. Unfortunately, there is the move knight d2 here. And after this, it seems like it's just an exchange. Of course, there was one nice trap, queen e3, queen f7. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen for black. Yeah, black's not going to do that. Yeah, I reckon black's going to win this pretty easily, unfortunately. Alright. Let's see if there are any other interesting games here. Somehow a lot of games seem one-sided. I think this game is heating up. Between Hari and Shabana, I think it's going to be a tense finish, this one. Knight takes g3. Okay. c4. Exactly, this is what I was talking about. The queen side is starting to roll. Yeah. That being said, white has resources, obviously, but he's way down the clock. That's not a good sign. Is that a blunder? Oh, that's exactly the question white is asking. Okay. Well, I guess even if it was, there was no time to punish it. And I reckon there was no way to punish in any case. It's probably just good. And now white loses on time, which is anticlimactic. It's not what I was hoping for. Surprisingly, this game is not over yet, but I think it will be very soon. So let's see if there's anything else that's interesting. This seems like it's going to be a long end game. But white's really low on time, so he might have to move faster. And certainly black's pressing. Obviously, he's got a nice pawn structure. Great knight on d6. But it's not going to be easy to break through. It's not going to be that easy. So usually the key to these type of positions is that you want to start to create another weakness. Although I'm not exactly sure how black is going to achieve that. He's got one slightly weak pawn on c3. But other than that, there's not much else. So he's going to have to work hard to win this game. And he's thinking, he's really thinking here. Actually, more I was thinking about, I had a feeling we had to do something like that. Create some sort of weakness on the king's side. Yeah, that's a good try. You might as well repeat a few times. You know, you want to gain some time in this position. I like what he's doing. He's just sort of waiting. White obviously has nothing better to do than to wait. Not... Yep, I guess so. It was h4, that's why rook g1. Makes a lot of sense. Not sure about rook h1. I like what black is doing. He's trying to fix the pawns like Capablanca's rule. Now pawns an opposite color as the bishop. He's doing that quite a lot. Okay. Yeah, that's a good move. Exactly. Rook c1. Yes, we need to get rook back into play. Although I don't think we can trade it just yet. So, yeah. This is pretty much a long maneuvering game. Of course, the aim would be to get the knight to hit the pawn on h3, but that's really hard for now. So, I like what black is doing. My apologies. My apologies, I've now muted my phone. Yes, I'm still getting inquiries about the tournament, which is in progress, so that was unexpected. Now black is obviously pressing, he's going to play rook f4. At some point, king could come in, try to hit the pawn on c3. That should be the plan. Whether he can actually get that remains to be seen. But I feel like black's going to end up winning this game, just because it's so hard to defend. Like rook h1, now black is definitely winning. Now it's over. Just take the pawn, yeah? And just like, I guess any pawn endgame should be winning, I guess. He doesn't go for it, but at this point anything is winning, I guess. Rook takes f3, by the way, is probably the easiest. Rook takes and e4. King e2 takes and go for the pawn endgame, because with the pawn on h4 being protected, it's just impossible to stop black from going and taking on c3. But okay, now we pretty much have the same thing, and yeah, black just goes, takes the pawn on c3. White can't do anything at all, and black just can't even pre-move here. He can pre-move his pawn to d3, then push his h-pawn. It's just too easy. And that's going to be a win for black. Unless, of course, he stalemates, which would be embarrassing. But I don't think that's going to happen. So king's being forced out, and pawn's going to queen. And that's all she wrote. Game over. Yep. White is playing on valiantly, but unfortunately this won't be quite enough, because this tournament has increment. Now, if there was no increment and you had like 5 seconds, this would actually be close. But with increment, it's too much, unfortunately. And really, some sort of freak accident would have to happen for black not to win this. Not that it hasn't happened before. But unfortunately, with so much time, yeah, there's not much you can do and make next move. And that, I believe, is the last game of this round. This is a nasty guy. He's just torturing his opponent. Come on, come on. Let's not do this, shall we? He's gonna make 3 queens. This is remarkable. Imagine if he stalemates because he makes 3 queens. That would be karma. Well, I can actually queen now, that's the thing. How is he gonna mate with 3 queens? Or just the normal way? I don't give more checks. I would give more checks if I was him. Like queen f3. But alright. That's the game, and now we are 10 seconds away from round number 2. Currently in the lead, well, all the top seeds pretty much have won, so hasn't changed the standings all that much. Somehow pairings are looking a bit strange. So one Azmi is up against Lam Kiziev. Alright. So King's Indian or Grunfeld? This is the eternal question. And to be honest, when you're white, you really don't know. Because a lot of players play both. But alright. d6. Black's made his intentions very clear. We seem to be going for the main line. Now f3, e5. Ooh, g4. Somebody's well booked up. This is, by the way, extremely topical. d5 is, of course, the main move. It's one of the most topical variations. Also extremely aggressive. You're literally just pushing all your kingside pawns. And yes, black is actually... Well, he's not really in trouble in this line, but in general, white's results have been very good in this opening. But maybe that's because it hasn't really been tested all that much. In fact, this line didn't really, reach any sort of popularity before 2017, 2018. So it's actually quite a recent development, these lines. But certainly one of the more dangerous tries in today's praxis. I'm not sure why it had to take on c8. Maybe it was possible to delay it. But I guess, okay, it was worried that some, say, queen f3 would run into knight d3. I can understand that. So that's what he wants to do now. King f7. It's running with the king. Interesting idea. Very interesting. We kind of, just castle. I guess what I didn't want to take because, well, I don't know, maybe I didn't want to give the g7 square for the knight, but I don't think it was that well placed on h5 anyways. So I think I would have taken an h8, and he most certainly does. Now I guess it's time to bring more pieces to the action. Don't see what else you can do. Let's see, I have some questions from my viewers. Someone asks, is Nelson Chess Vibes? No, Nelson's username is Nelson. He's a FIDE master. He's actually been there since before I started chess. Yeah, when I first started playing open events, in fact, my first open event, I scored something like -2. And he got like 3rd place or something. So he was a strong player for a very long time, and we're talking back all the way back in 2013. So very strong player. All right. By the way, if you notice that in a round your game doesn't start and you get 1 point for some reason, it means that you got a free point. Yeah, you got a bye, because I believe we have an odd number of players in this tournament, which means that every single round, one player will get a bye. So that person will get a full point. Now, another thing is that if you join late, so if you join after the start of this tournament, after 10 a.m., you will get what we call a half point bye. And this is very common in European events, where if you don't show up, like, if you don't want to play, you can tell the organizers in advance and they'll give you half a point for 1 round. Now, in Lichess, how it works is if you're not registered for the tournament at the start, you get half a point. So you get a half point bye effectively. That's just how the Lichess rules work. And I think it's better than giving a 0 point bye, in my opinion. So that's how it works. That's why you have half a point at the start, or a full point. Okay, by the way, there's been loads of changes. Somehow black is getting some serious play on the queen side. Yeah, he's getting b5. He's going to open the b file and try to create some sort of attack on the b file. And that's why the King's Indian is always dangerous, because it's always a back and forth affair. Because just when you think you have it under control as white, that's when black comes up with another idea and another idea. And that's why actually it's a very good winning weapon, even though the computers aren't a big fan of the King's Indian, to be perfectly honest. But in practice, it's always worked very well, and grandmasters still continue to play the King's Indian. Perhaps not as much as before, but you can still see it quite a bit. So rook a1, white's trying to take on b5. So this is a very interesting moment for black. Now, I feel like personally I'd sack that pawn. I'd be willing to sack pawns on the queen side, because that's going to help me open my pieces. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is try to close the queen side, because that would be, I believe, a serious positional mistake, because then your attack would be gone. White can switch his efforts maybe back to the king side, or he could think about using the queen side for himself with some of like c5. So certainly something to think about. Personally, I would just give white whatever he wants on the queen side. He can take as many pawns as he wants, because after all, he's opening lines for our pieces. That being said, I'm not sure how strong black's attack is gonna be objectively, because if you think about it, all his pieces are on the king side. So yeah, not exactly sure. Black takes on c4. I think he had to do something like this. White's gonna take back. Yeah, I'm not sure how strong black's attack is, because the problem is that he can't get his knight and his bishop into play. And without these two pieces, it's going to be hard to attack. That being said, it is a blitz game. And in blitz, the rules are slightly different. All you need to do is to have chances, some sort of threats. And often that's going to be good enough in blitz. Okay, so things are heating up here. In the meantime, I'm going to check really quickly if there are any interesting games. So I see Nelson has already won very easily. Let's see. Paul Lawrence a piece up. Flying Pillow is a piece. It's a queen up. Funny thing is, I thought that black was a piece down. Then I realized, wait a minute, it's a queen up. Wow, how did that happen? I'm just curious. D3, okay. How did he lose the queen? What a joke. And he lost the queen. Wow. So big chance for black to score. Very nice upset here. So we'll see if that's possible or not. Bishop e6, I like that idea. Again, we always say when you material up, just trade pieces. The more you trade, the better you're gonna get. Yeah. The closer you're gonna get to a win. So white obviously doesn't want to trade. But we can continue the trading strategy. Yes, that's correct. Trade another pair of rooks. Every piece we trade, we get closer and closer to the win. And I think we can chalk this up as a pretty easy win for black. This one, on the other hand, is heating up. c5. Bishop h4. I guess white's defending this pawn and trying to bring his queen to the queen side somehow. It makes a lot of sense, because the queen is a very good defender. Oh, that is a very nice spot. That's a very good move, because black moved his queen away from this diagonal. White realized that, took control of this diagonal right away. And now I think white is taking over, because queen e6 check is going to be so nasty. It's going to be very hard for black to create a threat after that. Just queen e6 check and then protect this pawn on b2. And the problem is that it's going to be hard for black to create some threats, because if he moves his queen too far away, then the queen side is going to start to hang as well. So we'll see. In any case, it's still not easy for white to play, because yeah, maybe white is better, but at the end of the day, it is still blitz. And in blitz, anything can happen. I think I've said that like a million times, so I'll stop saying it. You guys know. By the way, I just realized I forgot to check the chat all this while. We have some strong players in the chat like Mirza Marov, who actually won a tournament last weekend with 8 out of 8 after his opponent hung a queen in the last round. So if you're interested to see that game, check out the Malaysian Chess YouTube channel. The video is right there. Yeah, sad moment for his opponent, most definitely. But in chess, these things happen. Blunders just happen at the worst possible time. So this game is heating up now. I think white is really outplaying his opponent. He's put his king on d3, which is actually a great square. Yeah, now rook b1, because I think queen takes b2 was already starting to become a threat. Although I'm not sure, because then rook takes a6 would be possible. Personally, I would prefer to defend it with rook a2, just because I like the rook on the a file. But I guess white is trying to play b3 or something. That being said, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that, because yeah, I don't want to put my pieces passively. Let's see. By the way, how's the queen up doing? Oh, it's totally crushing. He's totally crushing. King h7, pawn on b2 drops. GG, yo. Next game. So the queen trade actually might help white a bit, because now white can start to target these pawns on the queen side. So as strange as it sounded, with white's really active queen, maybe black shouldn't have traded the queens. Now I think black needs to play some rook b6 or something. Plays rook a8. Knight b5, a fancy move. He's trying to win that pawn. And I guess the knight won't be trapped, because always b4 gets the knight back. Yeah, so actually, this is a very nice move. I'm not sure how black defends against this. If he has to play a5, then oh my goodness, I think he's gonna just lose that pawn. So yeah, really nice play by One Azmi so far. How's the queen up? And the queen up is crushing, and that's gonna be over. So let's close this tab. Knight c7, exactly. Now I believe you can just take that pawn. I don't see any issues with that. Probably black should try to win that knight somehow, but it just doesn't work. Mainly because also the rook on a7 is hanging, so all we need to do is to sort of protect our rook, and yeah, exactly. I was thinking actually along the lines of rook a4 for my knight takes c5 ideas. We should force black to move his rook away. But at this point, it's really a matter of taste. I believe there are quite a few ways for white to win without too much trouble. Okay, but actually, it still needs to make more progress. Knight b8. I like that idea. Now this a pass pawn will be very nicely supported by the knight. So this looks like a very promising endgame, and I think the king will just come in to b5 or something. Obviously, white still needs to be a bit careful, but I don't see how black can even start to attack any of the white pawns, and that is his problem. Because if you can't attack anything, there's no chance of you creating any counterplay whatsoever. Now, I would never take that bishop, king v3. Yep. Well, I guess if I took the bishop and we got into pawn endgame, I'd do it. But other than that, I don't see myself doing it ever. Now it's really easy, just king escorts, yeah. This is a big problem. The king in the endgame is the most important piece. Knight takes d8, king c6. Now, actually, this is a great time to do this transformation, because the knight is notoriously bad in stopping the a pawn. In fact, if white had just played a4, a5 instead of taking the pawns, I don't see how black could have done anything. This is a very fancy way to play. I'm not sure this was the best way, but it is going to win at the end. So actually, all in all, I would say this is a very well played game by One Azmi. So yeah, very good job. I think black had to try knight g2 to get the knight out, but no, I mean before king c7 he had to try knight g2, but now it's mate. It's just mate. And black resigns. Actually a fantastic King's Indian masterpiece from One Azmi. We all know he can be a very strong player when he's in form, as I know from my games against him. Alright. Let's see if there's anything. This queen endgame looks hopeless. So it seems there might actually be another upset. So, yeah. Not a good sign for white. I guess just king f5. Rook g2 because otherwise... Yeah, the thing is that the king just comes in. Yeah. That being said, white still has some tricks. It's not totally over yet. Although, I feel like now it should be totally over. I feel like black could have just played king f3 instead of checking, but fair enough. There are probably a few ways to win. White's only hope is that, yeah, but now it's some sort of zugzwang. Actually, queen e3 was a nice move. And the queen endgame, sorry, the pawn endgame is already winning, I think, but... Yeah, okay. Now it's over. It's just too many... Well, it's too many things to deal with. Black just pushes this pawn all the way. There's nothing white can do. Yeah. I mean, you don't resign, you play on these positions, but we all know how it's gonna end. And that's quite sad. But what can you do in chess? Sometimes chess is a frustrating game. Yeah, just g3 is over. King f6. And maybe black's gonna show with something like g3, rook f3, king g5 to show that that endgame is just winning, yeah? Rook f3, king g5, and it's a winning endgame. This is funny. This is really funny. Yeah, this is actually one of the most, you know, remarkable endgames. Now, white should try king e1, correct? Yeah, and now white has somehow got the draw. After king e1, black had to play king e3. So just quickly to show that, after king e1, this is actually winning. But the black has to find the right move, which is king e3. And after king f1, now king f3. And after king g1, g2. So this is actually a well-known theoretical win. But what can I say? If you want to show off, you should better know the end game. That's all I can say. Otherwise, it's not advisable. Yeah? Alright, let's go on to the next position. That was a remarkable game. I can't believe white saved that one. It's amazing. Alright, so let's see what are the next games. Nelson, I guess, is playing. We've covered One Ask Me a lot, so I guess it's only fair we talk about the other guy, Nelson. Well, I'll say he's the favorite for this tournament. Some might disagree, but I think that in Blitz, he's a very, very strong player. Personally, my score against him is just terrible in Blitz. So, yeah, and don't even get me started on our bullet matches. Like, he makes me look like some really old, you know, he makes me look too weak, too slow. That's just the truth of it. Yeah. But, okay. Alright, there are actually some questions, yeah, and this is actually an interesting position. Yeah, white's just gambiting everything. He's sacrificing 2 pawns, but if DC knight c3, he's got a lot of threats. So I think black is correct in not trying to take another pawn. I guess he needs to protect this knight on c6 now. Yeah. And okay, white has compensation, but... Okay, pawn is a pawn. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure how much white has for this pawn. I feel he has something, but... I mean, clearly he has something, but... I'm not sure, actually. The more I look at it, like if black just drops his knight back, like knight f6, how much compensation does white have? It seems kind of dubious. Or just castles, and I'll just take d2, take d4, I guess. It looks like a clean pawn for black. So, I don't know what Nelson is planning. Queen h5 runs into f5 in that line, so... Not sure what he wants. And we'll let black think. He plays knight c5. Nelson's going to drop his bishop back. Now, one thing Nelson does in these positions is that he plays very fast. And this is his plan. He's going to play as fast as possible, try to put his opponents under time pressure, because under time pressure, some blunders could happen. Is Queen h5 possible already? But I guess Black just plays g6, Queen d5, and then some sort of bishop c6. Yeah, so just to show Queen h5, Black can play g6, takes, and then like some sort of bishop c6. So White doesn't win back the pawn. In fact, he just gets a bad position. So Nelson is just keeping the tension. He's just playing as if nothing has happened. And yeah, I don't think Nelson has any compensation, but I've seen him win these type of positions so many times to know that really it's far from over. Black's still thinking. In the meantime, I'll answer some questions. If you have any questions, by the way, you can type it in the chat. Yeah, who is the strongest player in this tournament? Probably Nelson, the guy we're looking at right now. What happened to Li Tian now? He's retired, he's working at KPMG. Yeah. He's never been one to really, think of chess as a career. So I can understand his decision. And speaking of that, we have some blunder from Black, f6, Queen h5, and Nelson, of course, being Nelson, spotted it instantly. Now Black's in trouble. I'm actually not sure what's even a good move for Black. I mean, he might have to play something like h6, but that's terrible. Even Queen g6 in that line could be checkmate, yeah. f5, just take it, yeah. Don't see anything about that. This is actually a good try. Is it enough? Bishop takes g5, I guess rook takes f5 is the idea, so that's not possible. What else do we have? We can drop the bishop back, we can play like bishop d3 back. I've got our pawn back. Maybe we're not like strictly better. Bishop takes g5, rook takes f5, bishop takes e7, I guess queen takes e7. I wasn't sure how convincing this actually is for white. Is there like some knight c6? No, I don't think so. There's like queen takes e1 there, so that doesn't work at all. Okay, so guess the queen has to move. Still, I think actually I like white here, so maybe what Nelson did was correct, yeah? He's gone for this position where white has this very, very strong knight on e5, and it's a bit awkward for Black to develop this bishop. You have to move the rook away and drop the bishop back, but first, before that, he has to deal with this e-foul. Yeah, there are immediate threats like knight takes c6 is a game-winning threat, so need to deal with that, and he does, moving the queen away. He's also hitting this pawn on f2. f3. Again, it's a bit awkward because of this bishop on c8. I'm not sure how we're going to develop it. Like, maybe if it gets to f5, put it on h7 or something. But even then, it's not really the best piece. Not to mention, it's going to take loads of moves. And if we don't find a good space for this bishop, like, we probably should just go, yeah, bishop e6 and put the rook on f8. And then maybe even drop the bishop back to c8 where it's out of the way. But Nelson is creating some threats. Queen b3 is appears to be a very good move, hitting this pawn, and actually Black has some issues defending it. By the way, I think rook b8 would just lose to knight takes c6, so that wouldn't work. Otherwise, I'm not sure how to defend this pawn. Bishop c8 is not the move you want to play, yeah, but perhaps it's the move that you have to play. And I like what Nelson is doing. You can see this is Nelson's brand, just a very simple chess. But when he needs to, he can play for some very accurate moves. And that's what makes him quite a dangerous player, especially in rapid and blitz. So queen g5 is trying to get some queen f4 in. Nelson just ignores it. Yeah, I guess it's quite easily defended. Queen f4, just queen c3, defends that pawn. Rook goes back to f8. But again, Black still has the same issues with this pawn on b7. And it's going to be hard to develop. Queen c3, okay.
Interesting play. He might be hinting at some sort of b4 at some point. He could also bring the queen into c5 and try to penetrate into the black position. So certainly white has some plans. I'm not sure about what he's doing though. Queen c3, queen e3. Not so sure about that. Queen f4. He's trying to bring the queen to the king side. Okay. Yeah, not so sure. But he's putting on the pressure still. But actually black is playing really well. Queen b6 now is getting some play on the queen side. That queen f2, now black can start hitting the pawns on the queen side. And suddenly it's not so clear anymore. Because if black can take that pawn, push his a pawn, I think black's gonna be almost winning. So yeah, black has his ideas. So white has to go passive, rook a1. But this is not what white wants, and now rook e8, exactly, bringing his pieces into play. Suddenly black seems to be outplaying his really strong opponent. So this is a big turnaround. It's a big turnaround indeed. Okay, queen e3. I guess Nelson is trying to trade off the queens on the queen side. That makes sense. c5, what a move. I don't know whether it's good or not, but it seems like a nice try. D takes c5, I guess d4 is the idea, and trying to push that pawn to d3. Isn't that some creative idea? I mean, gotta give credit where credit is due. That's a creative idea. Nelson doesn't believe his opponent. Nelson is not the type of player that believes anyone. He doesn't even believe me when we play. So queen a3, he's just really greedy. Nelson is a very greedy guy. Now, whether it's gonna pay off or not remains to be seen. Well, personally, I'd probably start pushing that pawn. B takes a3, yes, and now black is actually a pawn down, but that pawn is gonna be the key factor. Because if that pawn gets really strong, white might be forced to sacrifice material for it. But if white can take that pawn, it will be game over and white's going to win. Rook e6, so he's trying to put pressure on this knight on e5, but I'm not sure it's the best idea because now white can easily defend this pawn with f4. And now he's going to start hitting this pawn on d3. But maybe it's not so clear. Rook d1, this d2, then rook e2. Oh dear, what is going on? So we can't actually push this pawn, can we? This is really heating up. Maybe some move like g5 could be playable. It looks crazy, but maybe it's possible. Rook d4 is played. Okay. Okay, this is more sensible than g5. He's trying to take the pawns on the queen side. This makes a lot of sense. And actually now it could be starting to collect here. Just take on a4, take a3. Let's go for my idea with g5. I'm not sure. Maybe I might have given him a bad idea. I don't know. Just f takes g5. I'm not sure what the idea really is. It's possible I may have given him the wrong idea. It was very optimistic, obviously. d2. Or maybe I might have just given him a brilliant idea, because now bishop c2 is a threat. If rook e2, we have like rook e5 ideas. Rook e5, bishop c2. And suddenly it's like things are really, really working out for white. Bishop g4 as well. Maybe this is an even better way to do things. I think white's practically forced to play rook e takes d2 and go for this position of piece down. But this piece down endgame is definitely lost. So I don't know what he's gonna do. It looks really, really terrible. It looks terrible. Rook takes d2. We might be seeing the first big upset of this tournament. Just simply trade the rooks. Rook takes e5. That looks game. But black is taking his time. And that's a good thing. But now he has 30 seconds. And Nelson is gonna play instantly. Absolutely instantly. Every single move. I know his style. He's gonna go for the flag. Absolutely instantly every move. Now the good thing for black is that he's got 3 seconds. But 3 seconds can go by in no time. Because that's how online chess works. Blink and suddenly the 3 seconds are gone and you're down to like 1 second, and that's when you can blunder. So rook a1, black is trying to collect all the pawns. White will be going for the b7 pawn. So he's going to play king g7, rook b8, of course. Now I think black should play rook a2 check. Force the king back to the first rank. And then he can decide. Maybe then bishop f3. Actually, bishop f3 is a really nice way to protect it. Now bishop f3 looks like a good way to protect that pawn. Actually, rook takes a4 may be possible as well. Yeah, just take the pawn. That's even better. King e5, and Nelson is trying to create some sort of perpetual, desperately trying to create perpetual, but I don't think it's going to work. Simply bishop f3, protecting this pawn on b7, very, very solid. I don't see what white can possibly do. Bishop goes back to c6, of course, stopping rook d7. And now, I don't see what white can do. Even just simple move like rook e4 check, followed by rook e7, that should cover everything, and now the a-pawn starts to run. Okay, rook a3 is going for the same idea, but maybe now I can try h5. No, but now rook f3 check is definitely over. Rook f3 check, king g4, bishop d7. But he misses it. Rook c3. h5, now rook c4 is... I don't know, now rook c7 check. Now black might have to give up the pawn on h7. This is a big turn. Rook c8 check, king f7, rook c7 check. h6? What is h6? Rook c4 check, king e5. Wow. Is Nelson thinking of winning this game? This is insane. This is insane. If Nelson wins this will be unprecedented. King f6, rook e8, I guess, is keeping things under control. Actually, black can probably start pushing the pawn, but already white's starting to have his own threats. Rook takes h7 is not possible because of bishop e4, but maybe he just moves the king, re-threatening rook h7. Rook c7. He's trying to get... I don't know what he's trying to get. Rook f1 check. King e5, I guess... Well, rook f7, rook c8 check. It's not that easy. King e7, rook c7, bishop d7. Maybe that is working. But okay, it goes for pushing this pawn. Now rook h7. I think we push the pawn again. But then check and h7. This is such a mess. And with 7 seconds left, it's easy to go wrong. King f6. Nelson has got exactly what he wants. He's going for... I think this is going to be a draw. I don't see... What? Nelson is playing for a win. This is insane. This is insane. Now Nelson is going to lose. Rook takes g5. He misses it. What is this? What is this? Rook g4. Now check and h7 must be played, surely. But then king g7. That's the problem. Just king g7. It's over. It's over. Black's going to win. Rook takes g3 and then king takes h7. White has no pawns left. Black's going to win. This is insanity. What is this? Wow. I think this might be the biggest upset we might see all tournament. Rook f8 is a nice try, but of course we don't take the rook, we take the pawn. Yeah? Nobody's going to take that rook on f8. Rook f5. Now just take the pawn on g3. It's going to be over. And this is a really, really surprising decision. In fact, really, after king e5, rook e2, I thought this was going to be a draw, but obviously now it's never going to be a draw. Now Nelson is going to play on all the way. He always plays on all the way, so don't take it personally when he doesn't resign against you. He does the same against Grandmasters as well. Yeah, but unfortunately there is no hope. It's just too easy for black with the increment. Yeah, every move you get 3 seconds. You can play, yeah, just rook d5. What? That's a mouse slip, and it's game over. And white resigned. What a crazy, insane game. White was up. White was up. So black was up so much material. He's played a great game, and then suddenly it's not easy to convert. So that was crazy. Well, there are still games going, but okay, this is gonna end in a draw most probably. Takes on a4. Don't tell me they're gonna try to play this out. I'm gonna ban them if someone tries to win this game. Okay, this one on the other hand is also game over, but unfortunately it's gonna be black that's winning, because next move rook takes h2 is gonna be a skewer winning this rook on a2. So white resigns. Okay, so hopefully that's all the games you have, unless white's still trying to win this. This is insane. Come on, I thought they only did this in Titled Tuesday. Yeah, in Titled Tuesday you can see actually players try to win these positions. Usually it doesn't help. In fact, I've seen actually the side that's been trying to press for a win actually lose, because it presses too hard and hangs his rook in one move. And that is what I call karma. That's karma, my friend. Either that or he gets checkmated somehow. Okay, now it's time to trade the rooks. And if not, then I really hope black gets... black loses his rook somehow. Now I'm really rooting for black to lose his rook. Come on, I'm not going to watch this. I'm going to use the toilet moment. So give me a break. I'm going to come back in a short while. Hopefully by then it'll be finished.
Alright, we are back. I guess next round has started already. Yes, it has. Sorry. Bit slow, I know. This one looks like an interesting fight. So this is the guy who just upset Nelson in the previous round. He's gone for this F3 sort of Karo Khan, and don't know if Black's going for a solid line, but again it's quite passive. Bishop E7. Feels like White's getting what he wants here. Yeah. Can White take on B2? No, not A4. There's actually no way. Okay. This is typical idea, of course. That's why the pawn is on A3. Yeah, so just to show, queen takes B2, knight A4. Queen has no moves. So you lose the game. Alright. Let's see if there are any other exciting games. This one seems like it's going in White's favor for now. Suddenly after that crazy game, I need some time to, take a breather. Okay. Oh, we have an interesting game here between the legendary one, Azmi, and Ko Ian Po, who is a very strong player in his own right. Yeah, one of Malaysia's rising juniors. E3, Bishop D6, very, very solid line. Bishop D3, A6, castles, E4. Yeah, I'm not sure whether Black has played this correctly. Wow. Very direct, knight G5 check. I think this is a good decision. Whether or not this sacrifice is objectively good, in Blitz, it's really hard to defend against it. So I think White's done absolutely correctly. King G6. Now, few ways we can play this. We can check. We can play Queen G4. Need to evaluate them independently. So, yeah, to me, most logical seems to check. Because then F5 is forced. Because otherwise, King H6 does some discovery. King H5, Queen H3 gets mated instantly. So, yeah, Queen G4. I guess you should transpose anyways, because Black has to play F5, then a Queen drops back to G3. This is very typical. Now, Knight takes E6 is again a threat. I don't see any other move than Queen G3. There's Queen H4 to force Rook H8. I'm not sure whether that's... Actually, that could be an interesting idea. Maybe that's what he's thinking about. Queen H4 to force Rook H8. Then Queen G3. Because then, one nice thing is that after Knight takes E6, then the Rook on H8 could be hanging after King F7, Queen G7. That's not going to happen now after Queen G3. But maybe then Queen G4 was a better move because you get more options. Queen G3 is of course the standard reply. Now Knight E6 is... Whoa, it's a mate! What is this? He's checkmated. Oh dear. Exactly, that is... that is unfortunate, and Queen H7 mate. Ouch, that is painful, that's very painful. Yeah. Anyway, Black probably had to play something like Queen E7, but I guess it would be pretty bad in any case. But what can you do? Such is life. Whoa, how has Black got this pawn? But White has got all his pieces to the king side. This is such a mess now. This one is really heating up. And judging by previous play of this guy, it's probably going to become a total mess. So Black took on E3, got the bishop, he got the pawn. C3 consolidating the whole center. Obviously, White could not have allowed Queen takes D4 with a queen trade. Suddenly White has a lot of compensation right now, especially practically speaking in a blitz game. This is huge compensation. Knight G5 is coming up. That is the big threat for White. And I'm not exactly sure how we stop it, because we don't want to play H6, because then even Knight F4, H5 ideas become really strong. So I'm not exactly sure what Black should do. Maybe he should just... Yeah, maybe even something like, I don't know, Knight G6 could be interesting to try to get Rook F8 if Knight G5. There are ways for Black to defend, but I think in practice it's just so nice to play with White here. Well, the only good news for Black is that I don't think his queen is getting trapped. Wait a minute, I just realized maybe that statement might be wrong. Is the queen getting trapped? Queen C2, Bishop D1. I actually missed Bishop D1. That's gonna win the queen, right? That is amazing. That is really amazing.
That's just winning the queen. By the way, we are streaming on a delay, so clearly these players are finding the moves before I am actually seeing them, so that is impressive. Yeah. We're streaming on, I believe, about a 30-second delay. And he played it right after I said it, so I clearly had seen it already. Trying to win on time, play the price. Wait, did Black lose that rook endgame? It would be so epic if he actually did. That happens actually quite a bit in Title Tuesday. Yeah, I see it all the time. Some 2800 tries to flag a 2400 in rook versus rook, and then somehow they just hang their rook and then lose the game. It happens all the time. So don't do it. Just don't. Yeah, you wanna play properly. Don't try to flag rook versus rook, because half of the time you're gonna get flagged yourself. Because you're trying so hard, the opponent is just trying to hold. Yeah, so it's an easy task for them. Anyway, in this game, yeah, this game is just an extra queen for white, so it's gonna be over very soon. Alright. Thank you, Sai. Just saw your message. Somehow at the back of my mind, somehow something's telling me that no one actually watches these videos. So whenever someone tells me they like my videos, I'm always very happy. By the way, speak of happy, I think what would be very happy after some move like knight f6. Am I calculating this right? I guess bishop f6 still possible. But then bishop b7, and then we take on f6. Alright. I mean, anything is winning at this point. Just have to be a bit careful as white. You always have to be careful in chess. But other than that, yeah, should be a pretty easy win. Ryan is underrated. Well, we'll see about that. He's certainly playing some very impressive chess this time. Yeah. For me, not impressive enough to be more than impressive, but still pretty impressive. Yeah. Sometimes you just have a really good day. That's how chess works. Yeah. I mean, there's no point to look at this. It's just an extra queen. It's too easy. And Black's got no time as well. And he's beating some really strong players like Ritesh as well. Ritesh is not an easy player to beat. Like, my students are really struggling against Ritesh, so to crush him like this is not easy. Let's see what other games we have. We have Smurf account against Yi Haolong. I believe I'm not sure exactly who Smurf account is. It's this line, this sort of reverse grand fail. And Black seems to be doing really well actually, but okay, now it's lost this pawn on e4. But then again, white has some problems at the moment. Yeah, it's hard for him to develop. Okay, Black I think gets full compensation. Maybe more. Maybe more actually, now I think of it. I think one might have to play rook g1, try to protect that pawn. I don't see any other move. But you can see white's pieces are so passive, and that knight on e3, that knight is just such a monster. And I like what Black is doing. He's starting to create some threats already on the pawn on b2. This is exactly what you need to do in these games. So that's exactly right. Oops. Okay. Let's see if there's any other interesting games. People are asking me to show another game. Okay. That's fair enough. And maybe they were talking about that queen endgame. That queen endgame was indeed nothing to say about that. It's over. Yeah. This one is, I think, actually a very interesting one. Rook c8, king d2. Yeah. Heating up now. a6. I guess he's like trying to stop knight b5 at some point. Not sure about that. Okay, he's trying to double on a c5. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know why he didn't just do it immediately with something like, I don't know, rook c6. That seemed logical. But I guess he just wants to stop knight b5. Rook c7 is, in any case, very serious idea, because if black can come in on c2, that would be so nasty. It would be really nasty indeed. So we'll see whether he can actually get that. Okay, so rook c7, of course, I guess. Knight d5 is not a threat right now because of rook d4, right? And I guess the pawn endgame there is actually pretty good for white, because he is after all pawn up. And it's also going rook a4. That's actually a good move. Now knight e4 check is a threat. But maybe what we have to do is move the king. Oh, he just plays rook c6. That allows knight e4 though. I'm not sure. I feel like white's misplaying this. Sorry, I mean black's misplaying this. Now just exchange of c6, take on g5. I'm not sure what black really has for this. It's now 2 pawns, by the way. And more importantly, this pawn on f4 has now become very weak. Like knight f3 checks, just winning the pawn, unless I'm missing something. Now, I could just, actually maybe rook d4 check might be more accurate. Force the king either to e6 or to block the c file, and then take on f4. And that's why it's done. And now, pawn on f4 is gone. Yeah, just take the pawn. Now white is winning all of a sudden. So it shows that actually in these positions where there is compensation, you have to be very accurate, because there's a very big imbalance. And that's why you need to play accurately. Every move matters. And just one small slip and now it's over. So let's go on to the next game. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. Knight d5 check. Is the knight gone? King e5? King e5? King g4. That's the only way to save it, right? Because king g2 just rook h8 back, and the knight is gone. So king e5, king g4. Ooh, he doesn't go king e5. Interesting choice. Very interesting choice. King g2, I guess it's time to move the rook back. Rook h8. Or rook h7 might be more accurate. Trying to go rook d7. I guess king must move. Like something like king, I don't know, king g1. f3. Makes sense, covering this file. Rook d8 is not a move, by the way, because knight check would be pretty embarrassing, and we wouldn't want to allow that. So white takes, king takes g3. Suddenly black is still pressing, but can he actually win this is the question. I'm not sure about that. Takes. Now this should be a draw. It has to be a draw. Just rook takes g5. Actually, white's even the one that's more comfortable here, because rook b5. Very active rook. Well, he's giving up the pawn on a5 as well. So white's gonna win this game. What a turnaround. Like, black was completely winning. Now it's totally over, but in the other direction. So yeah, a4. The thing is that these pawns, they queen by themselves. You don't even need your king to support it. You just go rook a6, b6, a5, and then repeat the same maneuver again and again and again. And there's not even anything you can do. The pawns just queen. Now black's trying for g5, g4, but that one pawn alone is not going to do anything. Also, by the way, rook a5, rook b5 is maybe easier, which he plays. Because now you cover and the pawn queens. And now black has to resign, surely. Yes. Okay. Back to tournament. Any more games? This one is dead. This one is interesting. Wow, what a position. King takes g2, rook c4. White is pressing, obviously, with the rooks. But suddenly some drawing chances. I think white has to play king c2, because otherwise, if the rook trade happens, then it's a dead draw. Yeah, black just puts his king on h1, gives up both of his pawns, puts bishop on g1, and it's draw. c5. I'm not sure about that, because you are keeping the pawn, but you're also blocking on bishop. Now, I don't know very much about these endgames. I guess black should be aiming to trade one pair of rooks, so that's what he's doing. He's playing rook f3. Now it's a draw for sure. King d3. I say for sure, but in Blitz there's no such thing as for sure. For sure does not exist in Blitz games. Now, I think what black needs to do is try to sacrifice his pawn to c5 at some point. But I don't think it's necessary now. It's only that if the king gets pushed a bit, you might have to do it. At this point though, I don't think it's possible. Black is trying to bring his king back to b7, which would be of course a dead fortress. Whether he's going to get that or not, well, I'm not sure what white is doing. He's letting the black king get really active. King d7, check, king e7, something. King would love to get back to b7, so white can't allow that. Okay, they agree to draw. It's a fair result. I would probably play more if I was white, but it's good that they're not delaying us, so very considerate players there. Yeah, thank you very much for your cooperation. And now we are at the halfway point. 3 leaders. What? Ritesh won? How is that possible? He won that queen endgame. Sorry, that queen against rook. How did he possibly win that? That is crazy. The guy hung his screen or something. Oh dear. What a disaster. Wow, knight takes e5, d takes e5. Like literally any move other than d takes e5 was winning. Wow, that's a surprise. It's a big surprise. Alright, guess the games have started now. Okay. So I believe for the lead is Ritesh against Hariharan. So a3, a5. Okay, so queenside is being closed up. It's this sort of weird King's Indian sideline where white just pushes all the pawns on the queen side. Interesting line. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's playable. Bishop b7, black is going for this double fianchetto. I think it's a good enough setup. Knight c3, no, typical idea, stack some knight e4. That's usually the typical response to knight c3 when the bishop is on b7. But I can also play some normal moves like rook c8, of course, if he doesn't want that. That actually knight e4, maybe white plays d5. Wait, no, what am I talking about? Knight is hanging. So, ooh, black plays d5. I can totally get behind this move. Actually, it looks like a very decent idea. Try to open lines. After all, we have pretty much perfect development. There's no better time than this. So usually in these type of positions, we take on d4 first. But then maybe white gets knight takes d4. We can even just wait with something like rook c8. That's maybe the best way. Yeah, he plays it. A lot of times when there's this tension in the center, it's always worth looking at captures on every move. But that doesn't mean that you have to capture. Yeah. Sometimes it can be better just to wait for a better moment. Because maybe your opponent might have less waiting moves than you have. In which case, yeah, you want to make as many waiting moves as you possibly can. So, we'll see. Certainly heating up now. I'll check the chat if I'm missing anything. Somebody says he wanted to make a move, but when you did it, it said white timeout. Well, unfortunately, that's how chess works sometimes in online chess. Yeah, that's why you don't want to wait for like the last millisecond to make your move, because then maybe your move doesn't reach the server just in time. And okay, it's happened to me actually multiple times in one Titled Tuesday. There was one Titled Tuesday where I flagged in this way 4 times in good positions, and in the last one I had made in 5, so that was painful. But this is chess. This is online chess. You have to accept it. Sometimes these things happen. It's out of your control. Well, actually, it is very much in your control if you think about it. Yeah, you just have to... you shouldn't leave things to the last minute in chess as in life. Okay, knight c5. Not sure. Knight takes and bishop d4. But then I guess the rook goes back. I mean, I'm not sure about this at all. I'm not sure whether e6 was any good. B takes c5. It's very combinatorial because you do allow white this pass pawn on b5. And I feel like in a lot of cases, these pass pawns on b5 can be much better than the central protected pass pawn, because actually blockading it is, less effective, because the blockading square on b6 is not a bad square, but at the same time it's attacking less than it would be if it were in the center of the board. That being said, I think we might have to do it in any case at some point, but again, that will allow the trade of bishops and everything, so it's not a decision you're going to take lightly. So, okay, black is going for something more active. He's going for some sort of... Actually, I'm not even sure what his idea is, to be honest. I'm not sure what he wants. Some queen f6 followed by knight c3. I like that move from white. White's trying to trade off this active knight. Like in chess, you have to try to trade off your opponent's active pieces. And if black plays knight d6, then white could reroute that knight to b3, and the bishop would stand very nice on f3. So, very nice regrouping there from white. I like this. Okay. So, this one is looking good for white. I'm feeling black's going to take some time on this move, so let's see if there's anything else that's interesting. Maybe let's look at the match for... Actually, this is for the lead as well. The white player is in the lead, but it seems like actually black is doing well. He's pretty much got e5. This is actually a really nice version of the Karo Khan. Yeah, black has got e5. Now he's putting pressure along the e file. Now, black's only issue is this development of this bishop on f8, but that can be solved very easily just by moving the queen away and bringing the bishop out. Well, on the other hand, white's position is actually very loose, so I think black is doing very well in this position. Anyway, let's go back to this game. Black takes on c4, so he's prepared to suffer. Okay. And I believe he will very much suffer in the endgame, if we get to the endgame. There's also something to be said about just taking on c4, something like rook takes c4. Because bishop takes c4, there's queen g5. That is, of course, black's whole idea. So, yeah. Remains to be seen what white decides to do. And also, if queen takes d8, rook takes d8, bishop takes c4, you could come into d2. It takes with the rook. Is this actually a clever move? If rook d2, how is that? Maybe black can play rook d2. In any case, because if I move the bishop back, then white drops. We can also play bishop d5, yeah, and rook c3. But then rook c3, okay, it's hard to make progress. So maybe I have a feeling we can go in rook d2. That would be the move that I would play. If rook takes e4, rook takes e2, and I'm ready to push this pawn. And at least I've got a rook to the second rank, so that has to help. By the way, if rook c1 in that line, we could still play c4, I think. No, maybe king f1. So, okay, we can... We have fighters like rook b2, rook b4 as well. So, certainly we have our own ideas as well if you're black. Okay. So black is really taking his time. Hopefully it's not stream sniping. But, okay, I always say there are better ways to cheat than to watch my commentary. I'm obviously not using an engine. This is just coming from the back of my head. So, take it with a pinch of salt. And he has disagreed with me. He's played bishop d3. But this looks like a worse version. Because why has rook c1? His rooks are perfect on the c file. Rook a3. This is... Okay, this makes sense. Black is preparing to take on a4. And we still can't take on c5 now because of back rank. So, I think I would probably make some move like g4. Just to create some sort of second weakness. Because, I mean, one weakness is just not enough to win these type of positions. Yeah, so we need to create some weakness on the queen side. But maybe g4 allows some move like rook d8. And if rook takes c5, this rook takes a4. So these are some very serious decisions. Rook b1. Also a move that makes a lot of sense. You're trying to just push this past pawn. So a lot of ways for white to press this position. Definitely not going to be an easy defense for black. In fact, white's plan is super obvious. He just wants to firstly make some luft with something like, I don't know, h3 seems more likely now, or h4. And then he's going to push the pawn to b7, and then actually he could try to take on c5 and go for some rook c8 ideas. So that is actually a very dangerous idea. I think we should create loop first, so something like h4, and then we can try to push the pawn. I mean, we could push it now, but at some point we have to play h4. Otherwise, black could have rook b8, rook takes our b pawn, and it could be embarrassing. But we can do it later. After rook b8, we can play h4. There's no rush here. Perhaps this is even a better move order, because you don't allow king e7, king d6 ideas to defend this pawn. So maybe he's done it better than I would have. Remains to be seen, I guess. Just push the h pawn or push the g pawn, something like that. g3 seems very logical. I don't even see any other alternative to that. Now black's bringing his king. This is probably correct. I'm not sure about this because b7 is rook b4. I'm really not sure about rook takes c5 now. But if b7 then king d6, rook c7 check. Ooh, I think white now realizes that his rook b4 idea is actually quite annoying. And actually black might make the draw now quite easily. Rook a7, but again rook b4. Maybe he wants rook d1, that's his idea. Rook d1, play rook d7, but I can play rook 4 takes v6. Rook d7, put the rook on f8, and that rook defends the f pawn, and white has nothing better than to take on a5, so that should be pretty easy, I reckon. I don't see any other way for white to play, so I guess we can call this a draw now. Rook a1, now this is pretty much accepting a draw, and we'll move on to the next game, which is really heating up, by the way. Bishop h3, the bishop is on the same diagonal as the rook. This is huge. Black has pressure on this diagonal, white has pressure on this diagonal. Suddenly white has managed to mess things up. Bishop takes g4, only move, of course. Now I guess black wants bishop takes f4, but then bishop takes f5. Whoa, what is going on here? I don't know. He just defends that rook. Very, very patient play. Can black take on f4 now? Knight takes f4, bishop takes f4, bishop takes f4, rook takes f4. So it's not possible to take on f4. But knight takes g6 is not a threat yet. So maybe we just move the king? Can that make sense? Just move the king, then we renew the threat on f4. That's exactly what black does. In time trouble, this is so hard to defend. f4 is hanging. Wait, black is a piece down? So black had better get this knight back somehow. It's not... Whoa! Rook takes f1. King c2, queen takes g6 check. Big blunder from white. Big blunder. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But it's not over yet. I guess the simplest is bishop takes e3 and then just rook f8. I don't see anything for white there. Probably they are the wins though. There might be some cleaner ones. But why to complicate? When you're up so much material, just the simplest win will do. Something that gives your opponent no chances, and then just rook e8, rook f8 or something. Because you're going to do something about this queen e5 idea. It's probably not going to work at all, but you still want to stop it in any case. So, yeah. We'll see. Let's just check if that game is... Ooh! It's not a draw yet. Black's actually trying to press. Rook f8 indeed played, and that's really decisive. I'll play rook c8 even, probably. Queen f6 is very good. Trying to trade queens. Yeah. Not even anything to say here. It's just too much material. Let's see if there's another game. That's just game over. Okay. White's just getting mated in this game. We've got this rook endgame, which is interesting. White's going to try to press this. We also got this crazy positioning. This is the best one. Black is pressing, obviously. He's got this... Or maybe he's not, because I don't know how he's going to defend both his pawns. Actually, if he loses both, then white's the one that can press, even though, of course, it is a fortress. But it's just so easy in Blitz to hang one of your pieces. It's just too easy. So, I wouldn't call this a fortress at all. And look, black's pieces are all super loose. This is a big red flag here. I have a feeling black is going to blunder something. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling. Queen c4 check, exactly. The blunder is here. And that is very sad. That is very sad. King h7, queen e4 check, and take the knight. That is game over. And yeah, the thing is that I don't think it's possible for... Actually, maybe black can. He can play rook d8. and rook a8. And can white win this? I'm not sure. White's plan will be involving bringing its king slowly and at some point pushing f6, creating some sort of big weakness in the black king. And at some point the queen will jump out and give checkmate. That is white's plan in this type of endgames. King h4, exactly. The king needs to come to h5. There's no other way. g5. Okay, king takes g5. King h8. Okay, this is actually really close. This is very borderline. I have a feeling that black is holding here, but white has a lot of tries. Now, if we could put black in Zugzwang, that would be nice, but I'm not sure how, because black has this waiting move, king h7, h8. Queen c4. Maybe this is the way, just king g6. Now this looks over, king g6. Queen h4 and win the rook. If a2, then queen h4, queen h7, queen h8, and queen takes a8, stopping a1 queen. And that, I believe, is how the game is going to end, which is an unfortunate loss for black. Okay, rook b8, just queen h4, and it's game over, unfortunately. This is not going to help him. And black actually resigns before waiting for queen h4. Okay, let's see if there's any other interesting games. Oh, okay. It's not over yet, but it's gonna be over very soon. The problem is that it's just not enough material for white. It's just too much. This one is a draw now. And okay, let's see if there's anything else ongoing. Not much. This one, the pawn is just queening. Next move h7, and that's gonna be GG. h7. I believe black has to try something like rook a8, otherwise he's going to lose his rook. But now rook e4, check king g7, that's over. Rook a4, that's also enough, surely. Maybe black has to play rook a8, but even rook... I mean, rook takes a5 would give black some chances, so... I'm not exactly sure this was the most accurate. Okay, king g7, black resigned without even checking him. I would at least go for some checks and try to force him to make progress. Yeah, we lost, but not time to resign just yet. Okay, let's see if there are any more games. What? This is a draw? He couldn't win this. That is amazing. This tournament is turning out to have more surprises than I could have thought. So I thought one Azmi would be in the lead, but he's most definitely not at this point. Yeah. So yeah, 4 players in the league with 4.5. One Azmi, Nelson, and few others, including Paul Laurent, just half point behind. So really heating up right now. Okay, let's see. Let's go for the leaders game. We are looking at some Scotch. I know next to nothing about the Scotch. Don't play with either colors, especially not the Scotch Gambit, Bishop c4. But this is not the first Scotch Gambit we've seen this time. We obviously had another one in Nelson's game. B takes c3. I don't know what the move is here. Is it something like bishop a5? This is the type of thing that you have to be very careful about, because if you get wrong, then you can lose on the spot. For instance, bishop c5 would be very embarrassing. Yeah. So now bishop a3, d6 only move. I guess white goes castles and plays for e5. No, bishop b5. Wait a minute. Bishop c6 is a threat. Is he blundered already? Wait, let's get this right. Bishop b6, he can take on c6. Queen takes c6. Okay, so we can try something like bishop d7, but I don't know whether it's enough compensation. Bishop takes, queen a5, queen e4. I mean, it really doesn't look like enough, huh? But at the same time, it's not that easy to play for white. Like king d1, then actually bishop a4 is possible. So yeah, maybe something like king d2 there, but then the queen f4 check, keeps checking. And if king f1, maybe that's possible. Yeah, maybe just king f1, and actually white on the next move will play knight d2. The knight very nicely controls e1, so I guess there's not enough compensation there. That's a very creative idea. It's very creative. Rook takes b1 is the idea. You know, that actually looks very creative, but I'm not sure it works. There's going to be king d2. So queen takes a5. Maybe he'll take on e4 check. That makes more sense. So king d2. Then maybe bishop f5. And there's gonna be a lot... No, then rook e1. So actually maybe this is not working because king d2 already there's a threat of rook e1. So I don't think black has enough just yet. I think black has to check on f4. This is such a mess. Then king d1. There are actually no checks. And it's time to evaluate. Actually, black might have some long-term compensation here because white's light squares are just so weak. Just make sure not to blunder bishop f5, rook e1. And I think black has some good compensation here. Queen f4 check. Probably his only move. I don't see any other move other than queen f4 check. And then... Okay, but you still need a few moves to castle yourself as black. There's something to be said about king d8. It looks weird, but I'm trying to get bishop f5 and to use those light squares right away. Okay, he goes queen f4. That's the most logical move. King d1. But actually white has his own ideas, like queen takes c7 at some point. So we also need to be careful. Yeah. We gotta look out for those as well. This is such a mess. It's literally such a mess. White's next move is almost certainly rook e1. It'd be nice if we could castle, but we still got this knight on g8. Yeah. I guess we have our own problems as well. Maybe what we can do is tuck the king in on d8 or d7, something like that. I don't want to put it on d7 because it blocks the bishop. Maybe we could do something like bishop g4, and if rook e1, king d7, something like that. Bishop f5. Okay, rook e1, I guess king d7 is his idea. Can we take the pawn on c7? That is the question. Maybe not. Knight d2 also makes a lot of sense. Yeah, stepping out of any bishop b1 ideas and renewing this threat of taking on c7. So certainly very logical move from white. And this is actually a very interesting game from both sides. So let's see. King d7. Okay. So black's protecting this pawn on c7. And actually, I think black has very decent compensation. Yeah, white has some problems with the light squares, and I think black's king is relatively safe for now. Although we might have to revisit that statement in the future. Now, black's idea is, of course, just to bring more of his pieces up. And I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that, because black now plays knight f6, of course, and queen d4. So I guess that was white's idea. He's trying to go for some sort of trade, which black... Well, black can't allow, but he still has to be careful because there could be knight e5 ideas if you drop your queen back. So we might have to play a move like knight e4. Now, knight takes, there's going to be bishop takes and bishop f3 ideas are coming. And otherwise, you know, you could run into something like c5. So this is dangerous for both sides. Is a move like g3 possible? Very ambitious, I know. But I'm trying to win some material. I'm a very ambitious guy, obviously. I'm a very greedy player. But then maybe queen g4. h3 then. I don't know. This is getting out of control. Yeah, g3 is interesting. But it feels very loose. Maybe we should do something else like... I was going to say rook e1, but then rook e8, rook h e8, and actually we could have even more issues with this rook on e1. It's not an easy position to play. Decisions. Oh, actually I just realized no, that doesn't work. It's pinned, yeah. So he takes on e4, bishop takes e4. Bishop takes f3 is a threat, by the way. So knight to d2. Ooh, that actually looks like a very nice move. What can we do about this? I'm not sure. Queen g4 actually is a Good try as well, because f3, there's queen takes g2, rook g1, there's bishop takes f3. That's a lot of pawns. But then, at least white gets king c2, and he's ready to come in with his own play on g7. So it's really, really becoming a total mess right now. It's a total mess. So I don't see anything else other than rook g1. There's rook e1 as well. But I think I'd rather have rook on g1 because I don't think I can check on e7 ever. So he plays rook f1, just protecting his pawn. Feels a bit passive to me though, especially now the bishop can just go back with something like, don't know, bishop g6. That seems solid enough. I'm obviously not concerned with white taking on g7 in that case because the pawn would be well defended. He goes bishop f5, makes sense as well. Queen f4, again hitting this bishop. White is trying to annoy black as much as possible. And obviously bishop g6, queen g4 would be very nice for white. So white obviously would love to trade the queens. Okay, so bishop d3 is not working because f7 hangs. So we need a bishop moves that don't hang this pawn. We could play g6 as well. Bishop e6 is of course the other move that we can consider. But I'm not sure about taking the bishop off this diagonal, and especially now white gets the queen trade. So turns out actually white's idea was probably pretty good. And now I think white is really taking over now. But at the same time, it's not going to be easy. And actually rook a8 is a nice move because now we're going to get this pawn on a2. Bishop takes a2. Yeah. I don't think we should trade rooks because I feel like white's king still has problems. So I'd like to, as much as possible, keep rooks on the board. Yeah, so I'm going to try to combine these threats against the white king with trying to push our kingside pawns and trying to restrict the white knight, stuff like that. I think actually black's position is still pretty good, now come to think of it. And he's got 3 pawns for the piece, so he isn't even material down. Yeah, king c2. Okay, so white would obviously love to trade off this bishop on a2. Someone traded off. Black goes back to e6. It had to be played at some point. I guess white should exchange one pair. Rook takes a8. Bishop b2. It'd be nice to exchange another pair. Black's probably not going to oblige. If rook a1, I mean you could. I was thinking maybe play something like rook h8, but then c4. So maybe we play some sort of bishop. We play bishop f5, rook e8 there. So now knight e4 is played. He's trying to play knight f6 check. This is very, very straightforward. King e7. Not sure about that decision. Okay, rook h1, h5, what else? Yeah. This is a crazy endgame. Rook a1 finally offering rook trade. Rook b8, now rook a7 I guess, yep, has been played. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like white has been slowly outplaying his opponent. He could try to bring his bishop, to use these weak dark squares on the king side on the very next move. And it's probably something I would do myself. So, let's see. King d7. Interesting. And now, I probably wouldn't be tempted by one move threat. Yeah, exactly. I would just bring my bishop and go for the same idea that we talked about earlier. Bishop f5. Now, we have to watch out for black strats. Exactly. We've got to move the king away. Yeah. Now, I don't think black is worse by any means. I'm just saying that white is, seeming to outplay his opponent a little bit. And the more I look at it, the more I'm actually tempted to say I prefer white. King f4, renewing the threat of knight to f6 check. So black needs a move that deals with that. Rook e5. That seems okay. Knight d6, king d6, bishop a3, that's king e6. So that wouldn't work for white. So white plays bishop e3. He's thinking of putting his bishop on d4. This is a nice idea. And black has no time as well. So this is actually some very clever play from white. G5, king f3. I guess f5 now, trading up more pawns. Or d5 maybe better. No, but d5 there could be bishop b6. At least now it's a check, so we don't have time for bishop b6 just yet. And after ef, rook takes f5, there's time to play c5. So bishop b6 is not going to happen. Yeah, now you have to play c5, I think. Now bishop b6. What is this? What is going on? King f3 simply. And in rook c2, then rook c7, rook c6 defends the pawn on c3. So now rook c7, of course, king e6. This is still not easy, by the way, because what? The rook on e2 is hanging? You can just take the rook. You can just take the rook. He doesn't see it. This is amazing. He doesn't see the rook. This is actually amazing. He had a minute as well. Wow. Wow, what a turn of events. And now actually black is threatening to take on c3. And if rook takes g5, rook takes c3, now the pawns could start to roll. Oh, I think white's still pressing there, but is it winning or not? It's quite borderline. Well, I think he might have to do it because bishop a5, rook a2 looks really not appealing. So I think you might have to go rook g5, rook takes c3 and just move the king, something like that. And if c4, then yeah, bishop d4 I guess stops these pawns for now. Bishop a5 and now rook a2, right? Is this so appealing? Bishop d8? Unless this is some sort of clever maneuver. I'm not sure it is. Rook c2 again. Obviously black is more than happy with a draw. Especially after what happened. He was supposed to be a rook and a bishop down. And somehow it's only, you know, down the minimum. Of course, white's still pressing hard. But given where it could have been, it's... I was thinking something like rook g6 check. Okay, it takes on g5, plays bishop e3. Time to start pushing the pawns, maybe d5, exactly. Check? Really? King f7? King f7? What are you gonna do? Rook d4 is coming. He plays king d7, I don't know why. King f7 I think would win the piece back with d4. Now d4 is coming, but it's not winning a piece anymore. And not c4 because of rook d6. Somehow I have a feeling that's gonna happen. Nope. I was wrong. Okay. Rook c3 check. Obviously, white is still gonna try to press for a win. Black is okay with a draw. White is trying to use his king and his bishop to create mating threats. But it's gonna be risky because black's pawn is gonna start moving whenever you play king d5. So we gotta time this correctly. So black's played rook g5. This is a good try. What is d3? King takes d3. What is this? Rook h2 maybe. You need to try to... Okay, this is over. Rook takes h5. Takes on c5. Okay, this allows rook h2, but this is over. Now rook takes h5. Now this is over. It's game over. The pawn's just gonna quit. Do we have any more games? This one is just dead. Any interesting ones? We have this queen endgame. Whoa, this one is interesting. Is this gonna be winnable? Let's figure this out. Queen a8 check, king b1, queen b7 check. Yes, it's actually checkmate. So queen a... Sorry. Yeah. What? Now white starts checking, it's no longer a win. What is this? You could have done checkmate. What a joke. This is online blitz, I guess. This is what we call online blitz. It's a crazy game. The rules of chess don't apply in online blitz, and now it's a draw. Okay. This one is... I don't know who's even playing for a win here. This one is of course over. And this is our last game for this round. Queen f5. Looks pretty even to me, but okay, it's not completely symmetrical. There are some imbalances. Still think it's gonna be a draw, but with black being low on time, I think white will maybe try to push a bit. I'm not sure that's possible though. I think queen takes h4 with f4 some sort of battle. Okay, queen g4 check. Is black trying to play for a win? I'm not sure. Queen e6. Well, apparently he is. He's rejecting queen h4 ideas. So black's playing for a win. That's interesting. Especially with 5 seconds. Not sure this is the right decision. Okay, queen c5, queen e4. Yeah, okay. I don't think any side is in danger at this point. Yeah, maybe h4 is slightly weaker than d5, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's probably going to get traded off. I feel like black should take h4 and just take the draw. Or maybe it's not even the draw. Queen f5, check king. Yeah, okay, it's going to take the draw. Queen f8, queen f5. I guess black could try to play on playing king g8, queen d5, king f8. But that would be also equal. That would just be a draw as well. So, okay, I guess the draw is a fair result. There's no way for it to play on, of course. He can't take d5 because queen f2 would be actually pretty nasty. So he has to take the draw. And he's posturing a bit, but we all know how the game is going to end. It's going to be a draw. Really? In an effort to prove me wrong, he's trying to lose this game. Wow, this is very brave. This is very brave indeed. Queen e4 is going to come. Actually, there's no checks on this diagonal after queen e4. Okay, black is not seeing queen e4. Don't play queen c2. Okay, queen c4, yes. Queen e4 now, surely. Come on. I think this is super dangerous. Queen e4. There's no check at all. Exactly. Queen e4 is played. There's no check at all. Queen f8, king h7. Not even any check. Now we just start pushing h5, and actually white is in danger. d4. Okay. It's really, really, really getting dangerous for white. I don't know why white was trying to play on. There was no reason to play on in that position. Now I think white's gonna lose this. He's gonna just take on e3. F takes and then start to push the pawns. Now this endgame with G and H pawns, there are some of them that are drawn, but I have a feeling this is not one of them. D takes E3. Don't lose on time. King E4, King E4. I guess Queen G4 check, and we take on E3. This is black is really giving me a heart attack. Queen D1, Queen D1. What is this? Of course he had to play king takes e3. This is such an I'm just speechless. I don't know what to say. Just speechless. Okay, so after that crazy game, now it turns out Black Magician Duel is tied for the lead with Hariharan. So this is going to be a critical matchup. This is the penultimate round. This is round 7. E4 is played. C5. This is Sicilian. We're gonna see this Tivyakov Grand Prix maybe? Nope, d6 is played. Okay, just a normal Grand Prix then. Okay. Knight c6. Knight f3. This is all theory. I guess g6. Knight f6, okay. Bishop b5, bishop d7. Not sure. Don't usually play this line of the Grand Prix. I consider it sort of giving white what he wants, which is just to spoil structure on the queen side. You get d3 castles, queen e1, queen h4, push pawns on the king side. That's pretty much white's idea in the Grand Prix. He's like a zombie could play the Grand Prix well, because you know you don't really need to think very much. You just make a whole bunch of predetermined moves and get a good position. If your opponent doesn't know what he's doing, of course. If he does, then you could get a bad position. That's the issue with the Grand Prix, and that's why it's not as popular as the main lines. d5. So I would probably just play queen e1 here, just to step on any potential queen trades. I don't think c4 is working at this point. We can just take it. Queen e1, of course. Queen e1 is very typical in the Grand Prix. We're going to stick to this game because this game is... I mean, the winner of this game is going to have a half-point lead going into the last round, which is obviously is a nice advantage. It's not a critical advantage. It's not like a full-point lead, but it's still a lead. Yeah, a lead is a lead, and they might have better tiebreaks as well. So, you know, a draw could just give them champ. Bishop g7, e5. What is going on? Is he really allowing this? This is so risky. This is really risky. e5? What is going on? But it was hard to recommend a good move for black in any case, because ef5 ran into e takes d5 check. And yeah, it seems like black was just a few tempi slow. If he had already castled, then f5 wouldn't be that dangerous. But He's just down that one tempi that allowed white to get this very nice initiative. Now white is taking his time. This is actually a good strategy when you know that your position is very good, because a lot of times when your position is good, all you need to do is to find a few accurate moves and your opponent is finished. Your opponent is busto. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make sure that his move is good, and he's spending more time here because he knows this is the position. And after a lot of things, he plays e5, knight d7. Now, most tempting to me seems something like f takes e6, but actually not so sure it's that easy now I think of it, because knight g5 runs into knight takes e5. Now still bishop f4 there looks really strong. Yeah, because black can't castle, and if he can't castle, he's got some issues. Wait, am I talking any sense? F6, F6, knight g5, knight e5, bishop f4, he can castle. So I'm not talking any sense, I guess. Yeah, I guess he can castle that. So, still, it's not easy. We can play f6, forcing bishop f8, but then I'm not sure we actually want to close up the king side. So, some decisions need to be made here. Okay. Still feels to me like f6 is the way to go. Knight g5 runs to knight e5. Is there any way we can deal with this? Bishop f4 castles. If bishop e5, there's rook f1. No, but then... Yeah, then queen f1, this queen takes g5. Yeah, not bishop e5, queen f7, but queen takes g5. Yeah, knight takes e5 is practically forced. This is the line we were talking about. I still haven't managed to figure this out, so if they can, then they are better players than I am. That's just the truth of it. Castles is only move, obviously. Otherwise, you're dead. I don't see any other move. Castles, only move. Queen h4, h5. That doesn't really work. Yeah, bishop takes, you can take back quite happily. If bishop takes e5, then I think the simplest is to take on f1. If queen takes f1 or king takes f1, we both take on g5 at the end. I'm not sure. If knight h7, there's rook f4. Ugh. Sorry? There's something to be said about some knight e6, but I don't think white is any better there. So somehow it seems like black is doing well now. I feel like maybe this fe knight g5 knight e5 was not the way to go. Maybe it was better to play f6 and then after bishop f8 try some h4 ideas. But that's also risky because our king is on g1 after all. Now h4 is... yeah, it's a bit late for that, obviously. That being said, if the knight moves, we're going to take on e6. So maybe this is actually quite a decent idea, now I think of it. Probably black should go knight f7. That seems like the most logical, so that it's not a check on e6 and we have time to take h4. Because other moves, I'm thinking knight e6, bishop e6 is forced because there's a fork, and then queen e6, and the knight could be in trouble. And we don't want to voluntarily pin our queen with something like queen c7. That's asking for trouble. Even moves like queen g3 there could be pretty nasty with rook e1 to follow. So I'd say knight f7 looks only move to me. Which is played, okay. Yeah. Apologies if this commentary is getting really variation heavy. That was not the intention. Sometimes I get carried away, so apologies for that. Queen e6. Okay, so now bishop d4 check, king h1 seems only move, queen takes h4, bishop h2. It's looking... okay, then we go rook e8 or something, can take c6. And then some bishop e5. It's looking completely winning for black. It's completely winning for black. There's not even anything to say. He might have to play Was there rook e8 there? No, that's queen f7. So yeah, this is very convincing. d4. Very convincing. It's gonna take the knight and win. But as we've seen in this tournament, nothing is for certain. We have seen people queen up and losing the game. So if that can happen, then really anything can. Queen e4. I guess it's time to take the knight. Play queen d5. Something like that. That's over. Yeah. Very nice. Very solid. Harry is really having a good day today. Yeah. I hear that from what I've heard. I've never played Harry before, but I've heard that when he's having a good day, it's very hard to beat, and he's really showing that today. Very resourceful play. I don't think I could have played this game better myself. It's a very nice game. Rook e1, now we just keep trading. We can even just play like rook e8, but then he can take e8, so maybe we should, not be too fancy. Just go for simple trades. Any trade's good for us. Yeah. And that should be over. Oh no, maybe not so easy now, come to think of it. Maybe we should just play something solid, like, yeah, just some random rook move. And I think a lot of things are winning. Of course, we are a piece up. And I like that Black's taking his time again, because this is a very important game. If Black wins this game, which he almost certainly will, barring some sort of massive disaster. And by the way, he's played some rook move, very calm rook move, which I think is correct. And White's just resigned, okay. Yeah. And I like that he was taking his time, because in these type of games that are going to be playing for everything, you really don't want to rush things, because every decision, counts double. Okay, so we are seeing Teletubbies. Teletubbies is suffering against Adam. He's really suffering this game. After a great start by one Azmi, the rest is, yeah, not so sure. But actually now knight f8, king f8, rook d4. How clear is that? Well, rook e2 is not possible because of king f3, and I think a lot of black pieces are starting to hang. So in that case, I'm not 100% sure what the compensation is, actually. Bishop f4. White's trying to be clever with this move. Wow, okay. But is he getting too clever for himself? Bishop takes f1, knight takes f4, rook e4. It's not so easy to get that pawn, actually. Whoa, Black is going for some clever play himself. Again, I'm not sure about any of this. I'm really not sure. I feel like Black is trying to get his rook trapped. Oh, I guess rook e4 he could have played king g3. So that was the problem, yeah? So maybe he had to do this. Wow. In that case, that is a very nice concept. It's too deep for me. Too deep. Even I don't understand this. h5. Okay. If g takes, what's the idea? I don't understand. Maybe like rook e takes h3, but that's lost, right? Just knight takes h3. Wow, king f2. This is some great play. This is amazing play. Knight takes. This is too deep for me. Just gh5. No, gh5, rook h5. You could have throwing chances there. Although I would play rook g1. Rook d8. Wow. Just like king. Just rook g1. Wow. Okay. Block it, I guess. Rook g2. King g3. Okay. And now rook f1. Wow. This is legend. This guy is legend. Even I cannot find these moves. What a legend. Wow. Okay. That was some legendary play so far. What can I say? Just a legend. In this tournament, we have seen some very, very, very strong players and very unexpected leaders, I have to say. I really thought Nelson would be running away with it. By the way, speaking of running away, I think Black's running away with this game. There's going to be some sacrifice. I just realized Black is a piece up, so yeah, it's probably going to crash through in some nice way, but we probably can find some more interesting, more fighting games. What? King is on f3 here. Wow, this is really an all-in game. Okay, this is a great one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So White is only a pawn down. It seems like White's down more, but it's only a pawn. All his pieces are on the king side is going for an attack and black has no time. Bishop h5. I think that was the maybe only move. Now king has to go somewhere. Not great to have to block the g file, but you don't have a choice. I guess I would go to g3, seems more natural. In blitz, you don't want to spend too much time, because the more time you spend, the more your opponent gets confident, and he gets time to think during your own time as well. So when you're trying to press your opponent, you actually might want to bluff him one time. Rook g5. Rook g5 looks really strong, right? Am I missing something? Queen g5. He wants queen h5, but I prefer to use my rook, obviously. Because then I would have knight g6 ideas if you had played bishop e2. Queen f6. What is his idea? Is knight g6 even working? It seems crazy. He's going for it. He's just going for it. He doesn't care. He's gonna... Black has to take, king h8. Queen h6, rook g1, king f7. Oh, rook g6, queen e6 is mate. Rook g7, queen e6 is mate. This is actually mate. Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, I guess it's winning after all. Okay. So he's just going for the end game. He's gonna win this, I guess. Okay, let's go back. See if there are any more interesting games. Don't tell me they're trying to play another rook versus rook. Oh dear, no, no, no. I don't accept that in this tournament. We accept these sort of fighting games. Okay, so yeah, Black's knights are not looking particularly great at this point. Black has played knight h7 with the idea of bringing his queen out to h4, which white quite cleverly stops with the move king g3. Okay, we're seeing some very high level play here in this tournament. It's really impressive what we're seeing. Okay, so I'm thinking I want to try to get that knight on g8 out. So white strikes first with c4. Strikes first and he strikes real hard. Okay. So I guess his idea is to move the rook away or something like c2 and he will threaten to take on d5. This is unpleasant. Might have to do something like queen c7. Actually, it could be an idea. If I can get queen c7, because I have a sneaky plan of playing knight f6. Okay, he plays f6. That makes sense as well. He's trying to, soften up the white central pawns and try to take them. F takes e6. I guess we gotta take e5, right? If queen takes e6, c takes d5 is game. He takes c4. We can do that as well. That's true. Forgot about that momentarily. Queen takes e6. d5 is not possible because the queen takes e5. Okay. That is clever. That's actually pretty clever. Rook takes. Rook takes, of course. We gotta take back. No choice. Knight f5. What on earth is going on here? If f takes, he wants d5. This is some really nice play. Rook c8, knight f3. Wait, can we take and play f takes e5 now? What? What is this? What on earth is this? Makes sense. He's going to take on a4, but then the e pawn gets pretty strong. This is some fantastic play. Queen c7 check, I guess. King h3. Rook f8. Okay. The e pawn still looks really strong to me. Arbom is playing just a great game. Kasparov would be proud to play such a game. Just had such a great game. Okay, so yeah, not sure what Black's supposed to do. Then again, it's not so easy for white to make progress. He takes on e7. I'm not sure that was the best decision. I thought the knight on f5 was very good. Queen f5, rook f8. Not sure about white's choices here. Queen b5. Okay, so queen d7 ideas are in the charts, I guess. He's also controlling f1, which is unfortunate. Queen f6. Why not e7? Just e7, right? e7 just wins the rook. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't think I am. e7 is just a rook. Just queen, queen. Rook takes, queen d3, game. I would play queen g6 actually. I'll check and play queen g6. Queen f5, it's more than enough. Yeah, still some work to be done, but it's gonna be game. Yeah. Yeah, rook d3. Queen d5 maybe, trying to get the queen trade on d8. Plays queen e3, again offering queen trade. Yeah, the problem is that at some point, what is just gonna win? Queen e7, that's probably game. Queen d4, yeah, that's a game as well. King h7 maybe. But then queen e4 check. Rook e3 exactly, and now it's gonna be hard to deal with. Queen e8, queen g6, rook e8, queen e8. That's it. Resign. Rook b8, free move, rook b5. Not rook b6, but rook b5, because usually they're gonna sack the pawn like that. Now hg6, free move, rook a5, and that's gonna be game. Okay. And are there any more games? Let's see. I don't think there are. Nope, that is the last one. So we're gonna watch this out. Okay. He's trying with stalemate. It's not gonna happen. Just queen, some rook b7, queen h8. The queen is gonna mate. Queen d8. Wow. Okay. King h6, queen g5. Queen h8. Okay. That was just a fantastic game. That was just a fantastic game. We have some very, very, very strong players here. Okay, let's go back. And the last round, in the lead, Harry Haran with 6.5, and right behind, Adam Hafiz and Nelson. So I believe you're going to see a match between Nelson and Harry. Now, if Nelson wins, he could tie for first place, but Adam still has a better tiebreak. Yes, we have a match between Harry and Nelson. Harry has the best tiebreak by far, so if Harry just draws this game, he's going to actually win this tournament. And Nelson is going for this line, whatever you call this, c6, d6, bishop g4. The Nelson Villanueva variation. I guess that's the name now. It's certainly better than the cow opening. So that's a start, e5. Because at least you get the e pawn to e5 in one move rather than two. So bishop e7, okay. It's very passive. But at the same time, I feel that as black, it's hard to find a line to play for a win against e4 nowadays. So I can understand why he's going for this line. He needs to win after all, and he's just trying to play fast. You can see he's blitzing instantly. He's trying to get some sort of time advantage, because that is his main advantage. To get some sort of time advantage and try to play queen e2, rook e8. Keep in mind, white only needs a draw to clinch this tournament. So white is playing very principled, very standard, very solid. Now, one of the dangers that you can do in these type of situations is that you can play for a draw, and that would be a very bad idea. And it's something I've done in the past, and it's lost me tournaments before. And actually, it almost lost me a tournament against Nelson. Like, I had a good position, then I decided to play non-committal moves, and before I knew it, I was actually losing. And I managed to draw that somehow and win the tournament, but it was not fun. It was really not a fun game. C takes d5. Okay, so Nelson is opening some stuff up. Now, the safe way would be knight takes, rook takes d5. I think it's the best way as well, because I don't want to allow e takes d5, f5. That would probably play into black's hands. So, rook takes d5. With knight f6, we drop back rook e1. Is black thinking of d5? It seems crazy. But then we all know that Nelson is capable of stuff like this, and that's exactly what he does. He plays d5. E takes d5, e4 is of course his idea. Now, I don't know what he exactly has. The bishop is not getting trapped, but maybe he can play some sort of g6 to try to go for h5. And this pawn in itself is not going to be that strong, because we have, you know, it is blockaded for the moment. We can blockade it on d6 quite happily. Wow, he's going for bishop d6, trying to give mate. This is ambitious. Not to mention h5 is a threat, but now bishop d4, a very good move, I think. Okay, so white has the opportunity to go for this opposite bishop position, but I don't think that would be a good idea, because then I think that would play into Nelson's hands. He'll play bishop c5, push this pawn to e3 at some point, and this opposite bishop will actually help Nelson to attack on the dark squares. So I think this is actually something that Nelson is very happy to see right now. Because with these opposite bishops, it actually helps the attacker. We all know that opposite bishops are very good for the attacker. So certainly Nelson's never going to trade queens. He's going to try to attack. He's going to play bishop d6 or bishop c5, and now he's going for ideas like e3. So definitely very strong compensation. And look at all of the white pawns. They are all blockaded on the light squares. And this is another factor that's very important with opposite bishops. Black is blockading all the pawns of the dark squares. He might even play a move like a5 in the future, totally locking down the whole white queen side. And I think that even though black is a pawn down, I think black is better in this position. Because his bishop is perfect, his queen is perfect, and the white pawns are stuck. So maybe what white needs to do is something like b4, and I don't know, bishop takes b4, rook b1, but then a5 is possible. And now of course black plays a5, clamping down, not allowing white to play b4. Now, white is in trouble, and I think this is something we're talking about just right now, about playing too much for a draw. And I think white is trying to play solidly and make a draw, and I think that will cost him at the end. Queen b2 is trying to go for a queen trade. Of course, Nelson is not going to oblige. He's going to play something like, I don't know, queen f4. Already there are bishop d6 ideas you have to worry about. Queen g3, by the way, would be a huge blunder because the queen takes g3. e3, by the way, is also another big threat. If f3, then bishop d6 would be almost a mate on the dark squares. And if f takes e3, rook takes e3, that's a massive attack for black. So certainly black has a lot of ideas, not to mention the move h5 can be played at any time. So, and also f5, by the way, is also not out of the question. It could be very strong. So that's why white plays bishop d7. He's trying to make sure that his bishop is not shut out with some move like f5. But then the bishop on b5, I'm not sure whether it's any good. Now, if I was black, I would play something like rook d8 first just to keep things solid. But Nelson is going straight for the jugular. He's playing e3. If f takes e3, he wants to play rook takes e3. And now he's opening up the king side. If king h1, then bishop d6 would be a nasty attack. So rook takes e3. Now there's a massive threat of rook e1, double checkmate. So white almost certainly has to move his king to h1. And I guess black will play bishop d6, threatening mate. This is very dangerous indeed. And I think white will have to go king g1 back. And actually then we would have to make progress somehow. So actually it's not over yet. Queen h2 check that line. So that whole line, I believe, is totally forced. Bishop d6 after king h1. I don't see any other move other than king h1. I don't know why he's thinking so long. If queen f2, by the way, rook e1 check would win the queen. So that would be really, really bad. I guess he could try some move like rook f1, but it looks terrible. Just rook e1 check. Yeah, rook f1, rook e1 check, and it's mate, right? King h1, queen f1. So only move is king h1. Rook e1 wins the queen. Surely Nelson is not going to miss this. He's totally going to see this. He spotted this instantly. This was what he was playing for the whole game. Rook takes e1, bishop takes f2, bishop takes e1. It's a full extra queen. He could also go for queen takes f2 if he wants. Yeah, and try to give mate. That's also completely winning. Bishop d6 followed by queen g3. That is also GG's to everyone. And it turns out Nelson is going to tie for first place. And so the battle becomes between Hafiz. Can Hafiz actually win the last game? That is the question. If Hafiz can win the last game, he will win the tournament. On tiebreak, things are very close, so it could still change. But I think he will end up winning because the Sonneberger tiebreak doesn't change very much. Queen d4. So Adam is actually a pawn up. He's shown tremendous play throughout this whole tournament. Just absolutely amazing play. And okay, I believe Nelson is just putting the finishing touches. That should be over very soon. Queen d4. Yeah, if knight b3, rook takes c6 is the idea. Queen takes c6 and something like queen b2. So that would not win any material. Now white still has a lot of compensation, obviously, with his two bishops, which are really raking. But these knights, they can be really jumpy. Could go back to e6. Knight b3, and this could be renewed after something like rook c8. So yeah, to me, rook c8 seems like the most logical move. Renewing all the threats. And yeah, knight e6 or knight b3 is now a threat because rook c6 we have knight d4. And we have this intermediate check on e2. So certainly white has to start worrying about stuff now. I think black has decent chances to actually bring home the full point here. He plays knight e6 right away. Okay. That's possible, I guess. So now white can play some black queen b2, but then I guess black plays rook c8 or rook b8, and it's looking good. So maybe we might have to take on c6, queen takes c6, and okay, plays queen d2. Maybe that's a better move than queen b2, that's for sure. Okay, so it's not so easy for black to advance these pawns. Rook c8, obviously trying to take the c file. White could try to keep the c file with bishop a3, but I'm not sure how long he'll be able to keep it. That black can try h5 as well to try to soften up the king side. That's another very typical idea in these positions. And another thing is that black is up so much on the clock. He's got 3 times the amount of time. This is not a good sign for white. Let's see if Nelson has already won. Yes, Nelson has already won. So Nelson is currently in the lead. And it's really whether Hafiz can catch him with this win. And now Hafiz has won another pawn. g4, queen takes a4. So Hafiz is actually winning this game. Bishop e7 is played. Okay. This is a very good try because what white wants to do is he wants to get rid of this knight on f6. After which he'll be able to take this pawn on d5. So if black were to move his knight back, that would be actually a big mistake. Because then we could play queen takes d5 and we'd be doing very well. But I'm worried that black has some move like queen d4, protecting everything. I don't know what you do after queen d4. Rook c2 is played instead. That also looks very powerful indeed. Okay, so I'm not sure what we're supposed to play. Maybe something like queen d1 looks terrible, but I don't see any other move. And now queen c4 consolidating absolutely everything. Now this is really just crushing. This is totally crushing. There is not much else we can say. If e3, I guess knight starts to move to d7 and it starts creeping to e5. So I think we might have to take on f6, but then, oh, that's terrible. Okay, now queen b1 is played. So we still can't take on b2 because that would be mate. And actually white is defending tenaciously. He's defending with all his might, but unfortunately it's 2 pawns and I don't think he's going to be able to defend successfully. Certainly this Adam Hafiz, I've never heard of him before, but he's certainly proving that he's a force to be reckoned with. And now queen c7 is stopping queen b8 check. Okay, bishop f6, and now it's actually still 2 pawns. So yeah, I think that black is going to win this game eventually. And the problem is that, yeah, it's just 2 pawns. So, and that we don't have any real counterplay. That is the biggest issue, that we can't really find a way to get any sort of counterplay. Now black can start to push and push and push, and I don't see what white can do. He's going for more trades. That makes a lot of sense as well. If he could trade the queens, that would be game over instantly. So, okay, white obviously is trying his best to try to push some stuff on the king side. But the problem is that whenever the pawn gets to h5, we just play h6. In fact, right now we could probably play h6 ourselves, just stopping everything. Black plays knight c5. Interesting. He's trying to get his knight into play. This is very, very ambitious play. And actually, Adam has been playing very ambitiously throughout this whole event. g5, now trying to create yet another weakness on the king side. We need to create some weaknesses on the king side if we are to try to survive as white. And I'm actually surprised that black didn't play h6 to stop g5. Because, I mean, it's still winning, of course. But why to even allow this? Now, white can play something like queen g3, I reckon. Threatening g takes f6. G takes f6. King takes f6. This is so risky. But if it works, it works. That's all I can say about chess in general. Is there queen d8 though? Queen h8 check king g6, right? That is not helping. King e7. Yeah, and now black is consolidating. He's still a pawn up. His pieces are perfectly active. I think black is going to win this game. I think white could probably have drawn with some of like queen d8 instead. But certainly queen h8 just allow black to get his pieces in the game. Now knight d2 is a serious threat. Yeah, rook takes f1, bishop takes f1 is forced, and now I guess knight d2 is gonna come. Well, knight d2, queen takes d5, so you still have to be careful here. We don't want to be hasty. What is this queen takes d5? What is going on? He is... I don't know. I don't want to say he's messed it up yet, but he's made it really hard for himself now. And keep in mind, black has to win this game to tie for first place. And I think if he wins this game, he most certainly will tie for first place. That being said, there are pretty good prizes for second and third as well. So it's not going to be end of the world. But if black doesn't win this game, then white is going to... Then Nelson Villanueva, the tournament favorite, is going to win this tournament. But now Queen G7, King H1, now it's getting Yeah, knight f3, queen takes e4, so it's not actually working for now. Now it's still gotta be careful. Oh, knight f3, knight f3, king g3, queen g1, bishop g2, queen h2, queen g1, king f4, queen h2. No, but then king takes e4, so king f4 is only move, not bishop g2, queen h2, of course. King f4 only move. He finds it. Queen h2, king takes e4. How is that? Queen takes h3. How is that position? I don't know. I really don't. Can white win back the knight? That is the question. Or is there some sort of perpetual? I have a feeling that there is, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know why. Knight takes h4. What is this? Queen takes e4. Queen d7. No, queen d7 is winning the knight. Queen d8 check. Queen h4 wins the knight. Queen takes h4. That's a free knight. That is a shocking turn of events. Now white is gonna win this game. Queen g5 check. Queen takes a5. Just take up the pawn. Now it's over. It's just over. Wow, what a turn of events. I think we can actually just take the pawn. Oh, queen e5. That's a nice cementing move. Queen h8 check. Trades the queens. And that's all she wrote. What an epic game to decide first place. And so Nelson, after all, finishes in first with 7. Second place is, well, that hasn't been decided yet because we have to see the tie breaks after the last games are finished. And A-Bomb is currently in a, it's some crazy game. Again, I think black is winning, of course. He's up so much material. Now, black is definitely winning. But, okay, with 9 seconds, we have seen crazier things happen. So, rook c7. Yeah, the problem is that, it's pretty much impossible for white to create counterplay. Now it's just time to push the pawn, surely. Push the pawn at the right time, we can sack on c4. That's the idea. Hold on, maybe knight b6 was a threat, so maybe what he did was correct, yeah? Just stop that. Okay, and h5, just put the rook behind the passed pawn. I don't see anything wrong with that. Rook h7, the problem is that I feel like at the end, black will somehow just win this, because it's just up so much material. Even though his conversion is definitely not the best. Rook h4, by the way, just wins the knight now. His conversion was not the best, but he very much got the job done, and we can't fault him for that. King e7, if check, king f8. No more checks, and white has to resign. No, he doesn't resign, but surely he's going to lose now. Oh, we see. Rook c4. Okay, yeah, king b5, rook b4. King b3 is only move, I guess. I still need a bit of accuracy, I guess. I guess you can play rook c8. h7 is just start pushing the pawn. But then a is still erased, yeah. h7, f4, a6, f3, a7, f2, rook b8. Wow, what on earth is going on? No, rook b4 is over. Rook takes h7. Now that's game. Alright, so black is going to win this game. Is there any other interesting games here? I don't think so. We have a position where black is just up so many pawns. It's way too much. Okay, so not much else to say. Certainly, the rest of the games are very much one-sided. Oh, there are more games here. Yeah, but it seems like everything is just really winning for everyone. Okay. This is just too many pawns. This is probably the closest one, but the problem is that it's just so many pawns. It's hard to do anything about it. The pawns just push. You can just win by hand, as the Russians would say. Rook e2, check, king e3, and that is really all she wrote, as they say. d3, yeah. Now pawn just pushes. Rook g2. Yeah, not much else to say. You could give a check for rook e2, but unfortunately black's not going to repeat after that, so that is nasty. And now black's got mating threats as well, as if things weren't bad enough. Maybe you can play rook e1 check and try to block. Okay, this is dead. This is totally dead. Takes and takes and d2, and that's over. Just d2, king e2, rook v6. This guy is nasty. Okay, and finally, black wins this game. So, I guess is that all we have? Are there more games? There is one more game. There is actually one more game. Okay, so let's open it and have a look. Okay, so we're gonna finish around 12:30. That is perfect timing. This is, by the way, a draw. It's a very funny draw because white is after all a piece up, but there is no way to make progress because whenever the bishop runs away from g1 or h2, then this pawn is going to go and become a queen. And if white brings his king to h1, then he won't have any pieces to enter the black's position. So this, even though black is a piece down, it's just a dead positional draw. There's nothing else either side can do. And white is trying desperately to make some sort of progress. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's just no possible way to make any sort of progress. Yeah, and flagging black would be out of the question. He would have to have a power outage in the grid for that to happen. Yeah, it's more likely white flags himself, you know, by thinking too long. But certainly it's not going to make any progress by normal means. King e2. Okay, and we all know how this is going to end, but it's the last game, so we're going to sit it out. There are literally no other games here. And it turns out there are actually 3 players in the tie for second place, but we will be using Lee Chess tie rigs to break the tie. Yeah, so it appears that Hari is going to get second place. So Nelson Villanueva, our strongest player in this tournament, FIDE Master, has been a FIDE Master since before I started playing chess, has won the tournament. Well deserved, and after that unexpected loss in round 3, he came back with a vengeance. Now Hariharan was leading almost the whole way, but unfortunately in the last round he faltered against Nelson and had to settle for second, but still a very nice performance. Now Black Magician Duel showed some great play in this tournament, deservedly third, and Yi Hao Long showed great tenacity in that last game. He was dead lost many times, but yet he kept coming back and at the end managed to win a totally lost position. And in 5th place is Mr. Teletubbies, Mr. Wan Azmi, a legend of Malaysian rapid tournaments. He plays every single one of them. So yeah, certainly very formidable podium finish for these 5. Okay, so once again, congratulations to all of the winners of this tournament, and we will be paying out the prizes starting on Wednesday, and the prize list will be out on Tuesday. You can check that, and I'll give you about 1 day to check. I will start giving out the prizes on Wednesday morning. And just one last thing, if your account somehow gets closed, again, I'm not accusing you of cheating. It could be closed for a variety of reasons, but unfortunately you will not receive a prize. And my apologies if your account gets closed for some reasons out of your control. Yeah, I know some people weren't cheating, but their account may get closed as well. In that case, yeah, there's nothing I can do. But I hope that will not happen in this case, and that we'll get a very nice, podium finish for everyone in this tournament. And certainly well done to all of the winners, even the under 12 winners. There were certainly quite a few of them that really, really impressed today. So GG's to everyone, and just to let you know, I'm planning another mini event in April. I'm probably gonna do a blitz event with half the prize money and half the entry fee, so it'll be like 5 ringgit to enter with a 200 ringgit prize fund, which will be increased very slightly if there are more players. So that will be between the Penang Open and the National Championship, hopefully. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to organize that in time, but hopefully that will be the plan. And if that doesn't go ahead, then the next big one will be in May. I'm planning another tournament about this size, same prize money in May, and your support will be very much appreciated. Okay, one last question. Will there be a certificate of achievement? Yes, the certificate of achievement will be sent together with your prize money. So that will be on Wednesday. So now, actually starting later today, your certificate of participation will be sent. Now this certificate will not have your name in it, but you'll be free to, of course, type your name in it, and yeah, that will be yours to keep. Yeah. Okay, so once again, GG's to everyone, the winners, whether you won or not. You were great support to me, and thank you very much for supporting my effort, my first ever tournament. And on that note, we'll call it a day, and I'll see you next time. Yeah. Bye for now.